Hi, class. This is Shanier Washington, and I'm handling this week's lecture. Today, I'll be talking about the afterword section. I kind of went in and pulled out what I felt would be helpful for you guys. So it's not going to follow the book exactly. I just want to let school counselors know ahead of time. I don't know too much about your guys's like job application process and those things. So feel free to reach out to Brian with any questions, and we'll go ahead and get started here. All right, so the first thing, oops, sorry. There we go. Okay. So understanding the PhD application process. The key components that you need to collect or gather together, however you want to approach that, are going to be clarify your goals, research programs requirements, and then the timing that's coming up in the application window. For materials, you're looking at a statement of purpose, a personal statement, letters of recommendation, transcripts, and preparing for an interview. So for clarify your goals, what I meant by this is you want to clarify whether or not you have academic aspirations or professional aspirations, right? So under academe, you're looking at teaching, research, and supervision as your main like focus areas, with a special emphasis on teaching and research, depending on the program, right? You're being trained to teach master students in the future. So as far as professional goes, that's more your everyday counselor activities. So leadership, clinical specializations, and then advocacy. So the next thing that you want to do after gathering deciding your goals is going to be research the program and its requirements. You're going to want to make sure the KCREP has accredited has accredited that program. Much like the master's program, it holds the same weight and the same value as it does in doctoral programs. And though I'm not positive on this, so we'll have to check with Dr. Hodges. I do believe that some universities require you to come from a KCAP accredited program for to work there. Um, Faculty research interests. So you're going to want to know the faculty that are going to be on staff and what they are interested in researching. I'll touch on this a little bit more later, but that's going to be a big part of how you decide where you're going to go. You're going to want to know if there's a GRE requirement. That way you can begin studying for that or saving up money because it can also be expensive. The next thing is clinical hours and licensure requirements or expectations. Some programs won't let you in. Well, I guess all programs won't let you in unless you have a master's, right? So that's a licensure requirement or expectation. Sometimes they expect you to have been in the workforce long enough to have gained your LPC, right? Enough experience, that much experience. I'm so sorry, I'm stumbling tonight. Um, and then the next thing is location, right? So wherever you're going to be attending this classes are also very likely to be where you're going to be working. That's going to be the community that you're going to be heavily involved in. And then timing. So for timing, it's the application dates, they vary, and they vary by a span of like 4 to 6 months, right? So it really depends on the program. But why is this important? Because the application window closes in November of the year prior to the fall semester that you want to start. So if you wanted to start in the fall of 2026, you would need to have your application into some programs next month. So what that means for some of the master students, if you guys have this on your radar, is that you need to be ready to apply to a graduate program this time next year. All right. And so start prepping now. You want to start prepping 9 to 12 months out. That way you have enough time to look at all the staff and the faculty and their research interests. You have time to see the location, figure out if you want to move there, and just see if it's an environment that you want to be in, right? Application materials. So the statement of purpose is pretty much your standard statement of purpose, right? That you guys probably filled out for because I think we require one for the masters, but it's gonna be the same thing. Things you want to highlight, your professional goals, your research interest, and identity as a counselor, and then alignment with the faculty program values, right? So just heavy emphasis on like your professional goals. Why do you want to get a PhD? We have a terminal master's degree that allows you to do pretty much everything in the field. What is it that makes you need a PhD for your professional goals? That's what they're looking for. They're looking for you to bring that. If you have research interest, they're looking for you to kind of not fully brain dump on them, right? But just dump out some of your passion. Like, why are you passionate about this area? Why do you want to research this area? For letters of recommendation, those who can speak to your academic ability, your clinical skills, and your leadership. So that can be faculty, supervisors, and then other professionals that you may work with throughout your time here. Interview preparation, common questions are going to be about research fit. The research fit is so important, like I was talking about a couple slides ago, finding out your faculty research fit. So in this interview preparation, what you want to be able to do is say, hey, Dr. Hodges, I know that you're interested in family like research. That's something I'm also interested in. I like this aspect of it, and I would love to work with you if I was accepted into the program. So that just lets them know that you've done one, the research on the program, and then two, you've already started thinking about who you can partner up with research and research with. A lot of the professors that kind of strokes their ego a little bit too, right? So it gets you a little couple brownie points. Like I've looked at your work and I'm passionate about your work and I want to work with you specifically, right? And then explain any academic gaps proactively. So don't try to hide behind a poor GPA. If you have a poor GPA, just explain that during the interview process. Now, moving on to building a strong resume or academic CV. For a resume, it's usually going to be about 1 to 2 pages. They're looking for your clinical and practitioner roles, so like positions that you held and the different job sites. Emphasize your skills. So, what skills did you pick up? Like, are you crisis certified? Are you play therapy certified? What are those skills that make you stand out? What licenses do you have? Those things like that. So, the experience that you have that you've gained throughout your time working. Now, your curriculum vitae, I believe is how it's said, or CV, is basically your academe version of a resume. There's no page limit on this, and it consists of all of your publications, places that you supervise, teaching roles and classes that you've taught, presentations. So when you go to a conference and you present, all of that information goes on there. And that's the realm of academia. That's what they're looking at more so than what they're looking at on the resume. Though the resume works or is helpful in um, getting you a job, the CV is mainly what they're looking at, right? Some core sections to include here. Contact information, obviously, so they can get into contact with you. Education, degrees, institutions, and then if you've written any theses, like theses titles. Clinical experience, so your practicum, your internship, post-master's counseling roles, things that you did after you graduated with your master's degree. If you worked on getting your hours in like a clinic somewhere else or something like that. Certifications and licensure, we kind of hit that on the last page. Teaching, research, and supervision experience. So this is more for the CV again here. I guess you could put it on the resume, but that's not typically what people are looking for on the resume side. Presentations and publications, if you have any, again, that's more CV related. Leadership and professional involvement. So the Sigma Iota, the CSI segment that we have going on here at the university. ACA, AMHCA, and then your state board. So just the programs that you belong to. Any volunteer work or advocacy that you do as well. Those are the important things that they're looking for in your resume and in your CV, right? How to find a PhD program. So where to look? Um, the easiest place to look, this is what I used when I explored programs, not the University of Mississippi, right? Though this was my top selection. You can just come here, you click. Hopefully this works, guys. So bear with me if there's any technical difficulties here. All right? All right, it is not working. So this pulls up though. And what it's going to do is going to take you to like a little filter page. You'll enter the information that you want, and you can filter through all the different PhD programs that are K-Corp accredited, right? And that's what that does. Factors to consider. You want to consider faculty fit. Who could be your mentor during your dissertation, right? That's going to be big. Who's going to be this person that you're spending countless amounts of time and they're critiquing your work that you're working so hard for and your capstone project, right? Who is going to be that person? So if you can tell from the faculty page, it's always good to take that into consideration. Like, who do I want to work with? Funding, you want to look for GAs. A lot of the R1 institutions, and what we mean by R1 is like a research one, they're very research heavy in the faculty. They tend to have GAs and stipends available, right? You want the GA because it's going to pay for your coursework, and you want the stipend because it's going to give you a little bit of money on the side. Now, remember that when you're thinking about budgeting and things like that, the stipend is not going to be a lot of money. It's not going to be enough to cover anything. It's just nice to have some money coming in. So keep that in mind, all right? And then some places offer tuition waivers. Oh, sorry. The program model. So is it full-time, part-time? How is that going to benefit you? What do you want out of the program? In-person versus hybrid? Again, this is going to be up to you. What are you looking for out of your program? Graduate outcomes. So there is a little section. I just thinking about it now, I should have added that, but there's a little section. I think it's called something in outcomes. And then, but anyways, it's basically it's produced. It tells you all of the different placements and the graduation rates of the program. So you want to find a program that is placing people into academic and clinical leadership roles um, at a high rate so that you can get your practicum and internship hours and things like that. Um, those placement rates are very important. They're not too bad on our side as counselor educators, but no, like psychology programs, that's a big deal. Finding a program that's above like 80 to 90%. So you're not just out on your own hanging to get your internship hours, right? Or experience or other experiences. Contact potential programs. So email the faculty that you have an interest in working with. Just let them know, like, kind of introduce yourself. Let them know that you're interested in the program, you're interested in the research. So they kind of know that you're applying ahead of time, right? They're almost looking for your application in the pool when it's time to come. Talk with other current doc students. That is so important so that you can understand the environment that you're going to be in. What is the culture of that program? That's so important. So talk to some doc students. I know we're open to speaking if you guys are interested in going here. A lot of us are open to just talking about our experience and things. And then find your Dr. Hodges, right? So your guys' Dr. Hodges right now, she's your program coordinator. Go find that program coordinator, ask them questions, tell them you're interested, find out other information, just kind of get in contact with the faculty that and the leadership in that program that you're interested in, right? So finding a job in the counseling education field. So possible career paths. You have a counselor educator, which is a PhD requirement, right? Clinical supervisor, you're going to have to get an S after your LPC and follow those requirements so that we've talked to you about earlier in the course. Clinical supervisor or training director. So that's going to be like a Laura or Dr. McCormick. Those are the clinical directors of those institutions. So that's Cope is Laura, and they came in and talked to us, and Dr. McCormick from the UCC, right? Those types of positions. Academic advisor, student affairs counselor. I'm not entirely sure what that entails, so I apologize for that. And then, of course, private practice. And private practice is your what you imagine you're going to be when you grow up, right? Job search tools. I'm not going to worry about clicking these, but going over them here quickly. You have higher ed jobs. Higher ed jobs has been the one I've heard the most about from different professors, but basically, I think it's graduate degree and above. I don't know if it's just locked behind PhD, but I want to say it's master's and above. Higher ed jobs, just list a bunch of jobs out, and that's where a lot of people go in to find those jobs that require masters and PhDs. So universities post their clinic director positions and things like that. ACA Career Center, which is the ACA, American Counseling Association. They have boards where you can post jobs and things like that. They also filter on their page so that you can go to specific states, I believe. Chronicle of Higher Ed, same concept. And then, of course, you have your state boards. So, like, this is the Mississippi State Board here um, at the bottom, and they post jobs there and different positions that are available. Preparing for job applications, tailor your cover letters to the job description, right? You want to make sure that you seem interested in that job and that you're the fit for that job. Showcase your experience in supervision, leadership, and training. So when you're prepping, you want to figure out how can I show all of the experience that I've had? How do I show that I was in a leadership position, that I've done extensive training and supervision? That's what you're trying to show the people that are looking at your resumes. And boom, that's all I got for you guys.